Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for BroadwayWorld. Roundabout Theatre Company continues their season with a new production of The Common Pursuit by Simon Gray, directed by Moises Kaufman. And I'm here to celebrate with the company on opening night.
I told him it was going to be called The Common Pursuit. He liked that. He's a great admirer of Leavers, though of course he has his reservations. But he said it would establish what our critical standards were. That we were serious, in other words. So, he's already on our side, you see. Marigold, have you been introduced to Humphry Taylor, whose poems I told you about? Marigold Watson.
Hello.
And, of course, you've already met, I'm terribly sorry.
Martin Musgrove.
Who's offered to take over the advertising business, etc.
All the really boring stuff, in fact, is my level.
Right, let's get started.
As a matter of fact, I've just come to pick up my poems.
What? But why?
Because I don't like them anymore.
Well, they're very good. In fact, they're remarkable. Every time I read them, I find something new in them. You must let the magazine have them.
I'm sorry, I don't want to see them published.
Look, can I talk to you about this properly? Just the two of us. You mustn't make a decision now, please.
There is going to be a theatre column, isn't there?
I'm not sure, but I have an idea it wouldn't be appropriate.
Well, if we don't have a theatre page, can we at least have a sex page? Marigold and I can edit together, can't we, Marigold? And we can publish pictures of Captain Marvel having it off with ghastly Erica. Now, if I choose to introduce them...
I thought this was going to be serious.
Take me back to the beginning of why you wanted to direct this.
Well, there were two reasons why I wanted to direct it. Number one, this group of people trying to do a literary magazine reminded me a lot of us trying to do a theater company. So there's a way in which this production is very autobiographical. You know, this Tectonic Theater project, our theater company, is now 20 years old. And the play takes place over 20 years. There was something about one coming up with an idea about doing something artistic, whether it's a theater company or a literary magazine, and trying to make it survive in our world for a few years and have some impact. That I felt spoke to me.
It's been amazing. It was a really exciting room to walk into on the first day. Everyone had a lot of great energy, and there were people who I'd seen perform before and always been big fans of their work. I had gotten to work with Jacob before, and so it was really fun to reunite with him. Actually, the first time we worked together was on Macbeth in the park. Am I allowed to say that in here in the lobby? The Scottish play in the park with Moises, and so it was nice to kind of come back to the same stage again after was that almost like 5 years, I guess, since that happened. So, but it was really exciting, and to get to work on such a great play, which is kind of about people at the beginning of their relationship and building bonds, to kind of get a sense of what that is for all of us on the first day. It was really exciting.
Talk about his great role and what you love about the play.
Nick is kind of a live wire. He's a heavy smoker and a drinker and an aspiring journalist. He's a writer as well. And has a special interest in being a theater critic when he grows up. And I think what's interesting about him is kind of about trying to find his place in this dynamic. And as a writer, as a specific kind of writer, in an academic world where I think, has a lot of his friends and a lot of the world that Stuart, who's kind of the impetus for the literary magazine idea, at least at the beginning, has very high standards for the kind of work that he wants to produce, and that doesn't end up being what the kind of writer that Nick is. So I think it's a really big thing to have to face. Whether or not you're accepted by your peers for the kind of work that you do, and also what you set out to do and what you end up doing being very different things. So I think that all the characters in this play, Nick included, faced a lot of disappointment throughout the 15 or 20 years that this play spans, and also a lot of surprises, and you find yourself with certain successes that you'd never dreamed of. So it's one of the things I love about the play, and one of the things that's really fun to navigate about his arc is finding, what happens when life happens.
Tell me what this whole journey has been like for you with working on this play.
It's been wonderful. I worked with Moises before doing the Shakespeare in the Park, and so it's been a few years, but to come back in the room with him on a fairly contemporary play with a group of actors, everyone's of my generation, and we all get along, and it's all been nothing but fun. Every day we've been allowed to play with each other and discover the play, and that's really what the performances have really allowed us to do too. We continue to grow with each other and have fun with each other. And
well, let's talk about this. You're all terrific. Talk about the role that you play and what you love about the play itself.
Well, I play Martin Musgrove, who's the millionaire orphan, and he comes into this story as doing the business side of the literary magazine, and he facilitates everyone else fulfilling their dream. And it's a great place to be on stage because I'm wrapped up in what everyone else is doing. I'm always paying attention to what they're doing, so I have something to do. And I can't really talk too much about it without giving too much about the play away, but I think he grows up over the 20 years. He's really the character that ends up getting what he wants and really growing into his skin, which is a really lovely journey to go on every night.
What? Does Roland Papworth know what you're up to with his wife, Jane?
Of course he doesn't. I wouldn't hurt old Roland for the world. He and I have become extremely close. He gave me an enormous amount of help with great religious leaders. For one thing, he's particularly strong with Buddha. But look, can't you really get out of your dinner?
You don't mean he wrote it?
What?
This Roland Papworth, the theologian, did he write it? Your book, I need to know because of the copyright.
Of course he didn't write it. He merely filled in a bit of the background, the history, ideas, that sort of thing. And the Buddha bits. But I did most of the last draft. Of course, he's probably expecting his name on the title page. That was one of the things I wanted to discuss with you later. And he'll want a share of the royalties, but look...
There aren't any royalties. You get paid a fee, half of which you've already received.
Yes, well, don't worry. I'll think up some way of sharing something with him.
Apart from his wife, you mean?
This has been one of those experiences that's... It's like it's a fulfillment of a childhood fantasy in a way. It's exactly the way that I sort of pictured life in the theater when I was a small child sitting at home in Indiana and dreaming about a life in New York. This is really what it is. To work on great plays with talented people at a theater where people are eager to come and see the work, it really is the fulfillment of a lifelong dream. It's fantastic.
Talk a little bit about the role and what you love about the play.
Sure. Well, I play Humphry, who is the sort of towering intellect of the group. He's, you could say he's a cold personality on the outside, but ultimately he's as intrinsic to this group of friends as any of them. And I enjoy him because he's not a character who reveals himself quickly. You really have to pay attention, and I think there's a real payoff playing Humphry and watching Humphry's development each night, because he really is someone who reveals himself and his motivations and his desires slowly, which is incredibly gratifying as an actor to feel like you have something that develops over the course of the evening and over the course of the run.
Tell me what it's been like working on this play. Talk about this journey.
It's been a wonderful journey, and it's crazy to think that we're already here at opening night. It goes by so quickly, but I loved working with Moises, and the gang of boys that I've found myself surrounded by every day have just been delightful. I feel like we've almost had a similar journey to something that the people go through in The Common Pursuit, although very, very abbreviated. We're all good friends, and I hope that we continue to be good friends in 20, 30 years to come.
Talk about the role.
The role of Marigold, she's the only girl in the whole play, and I'm proud to be one of the guys. It's been really fun to... we share dressing rooms right next door. They're all in one and I'm in the other, so a lot of times I run back and see what they're doing and then go back to my little room. But I feel like she represents mother, lover, sister, friend combo all in one character. And although I haven't really done any of that personally with these guys, I definitely feel like Simon Gray's really captured something beautiful in this character.
I was going to ask you what you love about his writing.
I feel like my character is quite concise. She gets to deliver a lot of the real big, heavy-handed comments, but doesn't say a lot otherwise. So that's been a lot of fun to listen a lot and then deliver the the big news, and that's fun for an actor to get to do that.
Todd Haynes actually put it best. He said, after the first preview, he said, "Do you feel like you've just been shot out of a cannon?" And that's how it feels.
Tell me what it's been like. Talk about your journey with working on this show.
It was kind of an amazing journey. Most of the work that I've done has been in television and film, which is an incredibly different process. And I hadn't really done much live theater since college, and so it was kind of a trial by fire, especially dropped in with such an incredibly talented cast and director, and with the reputations and the credits they have. It was I was playing catch-up pretty much the entire time. I still am, I think, but hopefully getting there.
Talk about the role and what you love about the play.
There's actually so many things I love about the play, and I find it more and more things every day. Simon Gray, I was unfamiliar with really any of his work before this, and he was such a beautiful way with language and words, and there's so much that's not spoken or voiced in his plays that goes on. He's often there are many references to him in Chekhov, which is obviously quite a lofty comparison, but there is some truth to it in the way that the subtext goes through it. I love that about the show, and about my character specifically. It's a real arc that he goes through. It's this kind of tragic character in a way. I feel, and there's so much truth that the more I do this role, the more I find about my life that I need to change, so I don't end up like a disaster one day.
Tell me what this whole journey has been like for you with working on this play.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. The play itself is about friendship, and it's about a group that stays together through difficult times. And as a bunch of actors, we really took on the characteristics of the play. I think we became really close through the trials and tribulations of the rehearsal process. And now that we're in performances and spending a lot of time together in the dressing room, that those relationships are just growing deeper. So it's been really great.
Talk a little bit about the role itself and what you love about Simon's writing.
Sure. Peter Wentworth is also known as Captain Marvel, is a bit of a cad, to say the least. He divides his time pretty evenly between writing slipshod, sort of anti-intellectual coffee table books and cheating on his wife and covering up the fact that he's cheating on his wife. So he's a complex character, a nice guy with some unfortunate characteristics. And Simon Gray's writing brings out the humor, the sort of almost vaudevillian nature of his efforts to cover up his exploits. It's a lot of fun.
Working with Moises Kaufman, your director.
Moises is brilliant. His insight into the real characters behind the words is really second to none. He's brilliant at getting to the heart of the matter. It's funny because it's a British play done by Americans, directed by a Venezuelan, and yet his insights are things that we wouldn't think of, really. So it's brilliant. Yeah.
What I can't work out is why.
Why what?
Why you're lying, Nicholas? Your motive, or are you just keeping in practice?
You don't think by any chance that he's, sold Snakes and Ladders? To somebody else, I mean.
To Vogue, of course.
What?
Nicholas has sold it to Vogue. Well done, Martin.
Yes, actually, what happened was that I sent a copy to my agent.
The ashes of your copy, you mean? You burnt them, remember, along with the rest of your life's work.
Yes, and she showed it to Vogue without my consent, naturally, and it turned out that they were thinking of doing a piece along those same lines, so they snapped it up.
And that's why you want my copy back, is it? Nothing to do with Angela Thark at all?
Yes, my agent says she doesn't like the idea of it being offered to two different magazines at the same time. She says it's unethical, and I agree with her. Perhaps. But bloody hell, I'm a professional literary journalist. I live by what I sell. And you didn't bother to acknowledge receiving it, let alone let me know what you thought about it.